So in the LDM, I didn't have the opportunity to attend, but there was a statement and a comment made that death by checklist is some of the worst, things that you can go through. Do you think that a checklist and OKRs are kind of similar, and we're like towing the line a little bit on that?
Thank you. No, I think they're entirely different. And I think this is a great question. So, what are OKRs? OKRs stand for Objectives and Key Results. Okay, and this is where we can start to tie some stuff together. A checklist is activities. Okay? A checklist is activities. Activities only matter if they are moving you towards the goal that you want. Right? Now, so how do you prioritize which activities that you should be doing? You can either let the world prioritize it for you, right? By being reactive, which is the default mode, or you can say, I have said that here's where I want to go, right? That's my OKR. That's my key result. That's I want to make my life, the world, the company, my division, my work better. I'm going to improve it so that tomorrow is different from today. Okay? That's a key result. Right? Tomorrow, I'm going to do things to make tomorrow different from today, and hopefully that different is better. Activities are what we do to move us toward that. Okay? So the magic about OKRs is that it allows each person to choose where they want to go and then figure out how to get there and have a decision-making model to say no to things. Right? I've said that this quarter and this year, here's what I'm going to get done. Here's what I commit to. And so when the world starts throwing things at you that you have to do, you have to say no, or how am I going to reprioritize it? And so the reason we say that checklists are evil is that they don't allow for any prioritization, and they don't allow you to say no to anything. And they also ignore the reality that there's only so many hours in a day. And so rather than maintaining a checklist, right, we should immediately, once we write it down on the checklist, move it onto our calendar. Schedule time for it. Half an hour, 2 hours, next week, 3 weeks, whatever it is. And that forces you to deal with the reality that there's trade-offs in life. Otherwise, you have a checklist on a legal pad that's got 80 things on it that there's no prioritization, and you have no way of being able to say no to anything, so you go home every day really overwhelmed. Right? So OKRs are all about we don't care how busy each of us, I don't care how busy I am, I don't care how much stuff I did, how many phone calls I did I achieve my results or not? And so why do we have OKRs then? To enhance our capacity to learn. So at the end of a quarter, I work really hard. Everybody here works really hard. I will have done a ton of activities. But if the key results, if I failed to achieve my objectives and key results, then I need to sit down and go, am I doing the right things to help me achieve my results? And if not, what do I need to change so that I can achieve my results next quarter? Does that answer your question about that key result? OKRs and checklists are entirely
No, I didn't have the benefit of hearing what you were saying about checklists, so I don't know. But maybe we can leave it up to the crowd to ask, does that clarify the difference between a checklist and an OKR? Yeah?
It did.
Okay. So our strategy.
There are really good checklists, and a really good checklist is a process checklist. Okay, so a to-do list is what I'm talking about. To-do lists are evil. Okay, if I tell you, Matt, I will do something for you, fine, I'll scribble it down. But as soon as I get back to my computer, I'm going to schedule time to do it. That's freeing. Now, having an ops process, having protocols, having checklists that we follow that frees us up. That's good process for once we've designed a system to do something that if we follow it will lead to the desired outcome. That's really good. So that checklist, really good, right? Like checklist for a closing or a checklist for underwriting, whatever it might be. But a to-do list, every day, put your to-do list into your calendar as scheduled things to do.
Right.
Suddenly you'll find that you get everything done that you said you're going to do.
The mortgage industry, and I think we can all agree, at times does not allow for to-do lists or checklists because something pops up, something comes across your desk, someone walks in, there's a fire you got to take care of. How do you how do we implement this idea of going in, creating to-do lists after we said we're going
Well,
to
to-do lists are evil.
checklists. We're getting in the mud here. But how are we able to do that in such a evolving and changing industry that we're in? I mean, it's tough.
So I think the answer to that is that you get better where there's a will, there's a way, and you get better at it. Okay, and so on average, if you start to take a little bit more of a global view on it, if you've got a pipeline of 20 loans, okay, there's a rhythm to it, right? And so if you start to be proactive and say, you know what, the last week of the month, I know I'm just going to be slammed. So I'm going to not have meetings that week. I'm not going to do other things, and I'm going to leave my schedule. I'm going to make sure that from 11 till 5 every day, I have completely unscheduled to handle all this workload, right? But maybe that means in the beginning of the month, there's other things you need to do. You time block that a little bit differently. So, on average for the first week and the second week, I know that I get like 4 hours of whirlwind stuff that blows up every day, right? And maybe that's 5 hours one day, maybe it's 3 hours one day, but in general, you can get a feeling for it. And so I'm talking about getting into some sort of routines that allow you to get the outcomes you want. And there really is order to the chaos. And what happens is, every time you start to set some plan for yourself and actually set aside time to do something, and you fail to do it, you learn from it. And then you know the next week and the next week and the next month and the next quarter, and you get cumulatively better at it. And we're just talking about like bringing some order to it so that it's not every day I show up and, ask yourself, when you got to work yesterday morning, before you turned on your computer, did you know what you needed to get done that day, right? And if you did, and if some of that was proactive rather than reactive work, great. But if you show up every day and you're like, well, let me just open up my computer and see what's going to come at me, that's probably not the optimal way to like having a productive, enjoyable workday. Right? And so I think that within different roles, there's flexibility of this. But I think it's just this idea of having some control over how we spend our time is an important aspect to sort of having fulfilling work life.